I will call this meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We shall have roll call, please, Patty.
Councilmember Krales,
Yes.
Solvay, Miller,
Yes.
Gullickson, Mayor Wallers.
Yes. Well, greetings, everyone. We shall start our meeting once again with my quote for the day. This one happens to be from the entertainment world, Miss Reba McEntire. To succeed in life, you need three things: a wishbone, a backbone, and a funny bone. A little laughter, I guess, never hurts, does it? All right, we shall move on. We got a few things before us tonight. First up is the approval of tonight's agenda, and I'll ask the council if there's any additions or corrections that they would like to make. And if there are none, I will entertain a motion to approve.
I will move approval of the agenda as presented to us.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve tonight's agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Citizens' comments. This is the portion of our meeting where we allow the general public to come in and speak to the council, and I believe we have Andrew from Bonanza Bean here tonight. Step up to the mic, introduce yourself and your name.
Andy Davrico, manager at Bonanza Bean here in Morris. So, just came tonight. I submitted a letter last week to vacate a piece of property between a parcel that we own and a parcel that we're purchasing. Just thought I'd come tonight, see if there's any questions about what we're doing, what we have going on there, why.
Jeff,
So,
hand that over to Zach. So you kind of knows. I just
I
printed
believe
that.
it's on the map there. It'd be Hall Drive is the street we're looking for.
And just briefly, what's your plans, I guess, for that?
So
area
what
there.
we're working to purchase that property from Joe Riley so we can continue to expand our bin sites. For this fall, looking at putting up some bins. There's been a lot of interest in the local area from local producers and growing black beans, especially this year, given the other commodity prices are kind of depressed here. So, and just long-term growth really for Bonanza. I think us purchasing that property gives us a lot of opportunity as we continue to expand and grow. I mean, if you look, we started in 2008 with really 3 small bins. We've expanded fairly rapidly since we started, and really kind of looking for that growth to continue. I would say this fall, looking at adding bins just to get through harvest, and then within, I'd say, the next year, 18 months, we're hopefully adding another warehouse so we can continue cleaning beans throughout the year, processing, and then shipping them. A lot of those beans that we're shipping today, plenty will stay in the U.S., but probably 40% of what we handle does go international too. So brings a lot of traffic to town. It gets to be a lot of semi-loads in a year. So.
Okay. Well, I think you're familiar with the process. Your letter got submitted, and that will now go before the planning commission, and so we'll probably get to hear from you again. But
Okay.
it's I appreciate you coming in. Just gives the council a little better idea.
And just to everybody, it is gonna be all of the property from the Jerry's U-Save property all the way down to County Road 22, correct?
That is correct. Yep.
It's the entire property in between those two, so there is no other, you purchased it, are in the process of purchasing it from Joe, and it'll go up to where he's actually using for gravel right now to the south of that, correct?
Correct. Yep. So yeah, we'll kind of maximize that, really square off from Jerry's U-Save, and then what's left, is a small strip in there really for, he'll take a little bit of gravel, but a lot of that's just to maintain a buffer line, I guess, between any buildings and what's already been reclaimed for gravel. So.
Yeah, we just need to have it go through our planning commission and just look at all the different things, and then they'll make a recommendation back to the council, so.
Nope, sounds good. I Appreciate you guys' time.
Thank you, guys.
We've owned that chunk since 1999, as you see on the map, so well, about 25 years, and we really haven't done a lot with it over the
Yeah.
years. Obviously, it's just a grass strip, but
Yeah,
yeah. Well, I appreciate you coming in, Andrew.
yeah, no, certainly happy to be here and appreciate your guys' time.
All right, thank you for
Thank
coming.
you.
Okay, we shall move on. We have 4 public hearings tonight. And how this is gonna work is we will open and close each one. And I guess we'll just get right into it. The first public hearing is concerning ordinance number 120. It's an ordinance adding section 5.84 brewing license to chapter 5 of the Morris City Code. And Beck, I think I might just have you speak to each one of these individually and shed any light on that we haven't already discussed, or?
Yeah, so this is the ordinance that'll make it legal for businesses to have brew pubs and tap rooms. So, and then we'll give them the option to sell growlers. So that,
Later in the,
yep.
okay. That is the first ordinance. Is there anybody that would like to speak to that ordinance in the crowd, I guess would be the right way to say that? Seeing none, any discussion from the council on this particular ordinance?
Just highlighting this is the second reading, we're
Yep.
just acting the second time on it and
Yep.
haven't had any,
And adopting
Feedback
the
from
ordinance.
anyone?
I haven't heard anything from anyone,
Okay.
no.
No, going through sitting on planning commission, obviously, we've looked at all this and they've recommended that we make the approval of these, so, with that, I will make a motion, I can't, you have to close it first.
Pardon?
You have to close the hearing, and then we can make our motion.
Okay, we have no opposition to it, any more discussion, so I need to close this one,
Close the public hearing, yep.
and then we will move on to the second reading.
No.
No, we have to,
Well-
we can vote on the first.
Yep,
we have to
we'll-
vote.
Yep, we'll vote to adopt.
There we
the
go.
Ordinance, yep,
Open and closed, vote, got it.
yep.
Okay, so we shall have roll call vote, please, on that.
We need a
Or-
motion and a second
Motion.
first.
Motion second and first, yes, we're getting way ahead of our
Yep, yep.
skis.
So I will make a motion for the acceptance and approval of ordinance number 120, the addition of section 5.84 brewer's license to chapter 5 of the Morris City Code.
I will second that.
Now we got it, second and the first in the books. All right, now we can have our roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Kraus,
Yes.
Selby, Miller,
Yes.
Gullikson, Mayor Wallers.
Yes. Okay, now we get to open the second one. Ordinance number 121, an ordinance amending Morris City Code, Chapter 1, Land Use Regulation zoning regarding brew pubs and brewer tap rooms. Maybe speak to that one?
Yeah, so this is just an ordinance, that makes it legal in, all the sections to have a brew pub and brewer tap room. A couple of them have conditional uses, most of them are permitted uses in those areas.
Okay, any further discussion on that ordinance? Hearing none, I shall close that public hearing on ordinance number 121.
I will move to approve the ordinance in 121, amending the Morris City Code, Chapter 11, Land Use Regulation zoning regarding the brew pubs and brewer tap rooms.
And I will second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. To approve ordinance number 121, amending the Morris City Code, Chapter 1. We shall have a roll call vote on that, please.
Councilmember Selby, Councilmember Kraus,
Yes.
Councilmember Gullikson, Councilmember Miller,
Yes.
Mayor Wallers.
Yes. Okay, next is before us ordinance number 122, and I shall open that first of all. Next before us is ordinance number 122, an ordinance amending Morris City Code, Chapter 5, alcoholic beverages licensing and regulation regarding hours. So once
Yeah.
again, we can maybe have you.
Yeah,
that.
so this is changing the hours. The hours of sales ended at 1:00 a.m. Changing that to the 2 a.m., taking out the no sale Christmas Day, and shutting down at 4:00 on Christmas Eve. So those came out, and then the change to the times.
And this is to be more in line, more or less match what the
With the
state,
state, yep.
what state regulations are.
Na, 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 na. Any further discussion on that ordinance? Hearing none, I shall close the public hearing on ordinance number 122. And we shall have roll call vote on that ordinance, please.
Need to vote on it first.
Approval.
First and a second, I'm sorry,
Yep.
yes. I will move, I can move on that. Ordinance number 122, an ordinance amending Morris City Code, Chapter 5, alcoholic beverages licensing and regulation regarding hours.
I will second.
So we have a motion and a second regarding that ordinance number 122. And now we can have our roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Miller,
Yes.
Councilmember Gullickson, Councilmember Crales,
Yes.
Councilmember Selby, Mayor Wallers.
Yes. Okay, now we shall open our last ordinance before us. Ordinance number 118, an ordinance vacating certain public right-of-way.
Yeah, so this was approved last year. The only difference is the legal description of the street there needed to be changed, so it's already been discussed, approved, just a legal description change in the ordinance.
That's one we've already visited about, what, 3 months ago? Or was it farther than that?
It was farther back, because they were working when I got here on the street, or on the project,
Pretty
the
near a year
hospital
ago,
project.
10 months probably, but basically just vacating one city block of First Street from Montana up to
Right.
Columbia.
Public adoption of May 15th of 24 in here. You've got all your first readings, second readings in here. It was,
Hmm.
so.
I have no further questions, any issues with
Okay.
it?
If there's no other further discussion on that ordinance number 118, I shall close the public hearing on that ordinance, and then we'll entertain motions on that one.
I will move approval of ordinance number 118, vacating certain public right-of-way on East First Street from Montana Avenue up to Columbia Avenue.
I will second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second approving ordinance number 118, vacating certain public right-of-way. And we shall have roll call vote on that, please, Patty.
Councilmember Gullickson, Councilmember Miller,
Yes.
Councilmember Selby, Councilmember Crales,
Yes.
Mayor Wallers.
Yes. Okay, that takes care of all of our public hearings. Thank you for that. We shall move on to our reading and approval of our regular meeting minutes from March 26th, 2024.
I will move approval of our regular minutes from our March 26th council meeting.
I will second.
Motion and a second to approve our March 26th, 2024 regular meeting minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And then we'll move on to our condensed version of the same minutes from March 26th, 2024.
I will move approval of the condensed version of the minutes from 3/26/24.
I will second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the condensed version of the March 26th, 2024 meeting minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And then we have the April 1st, 2024 Board of Review minutes. Maybe, I don't know, we can just give a little background for the people in the audience listening, or those that you that don't know, every year annually on the first, we have a what we call the Board of Appeals, a Board of Review. It's where people can come in and have a discussion about their taxes, and if they don't like what they see, they have an opportunity to come before the council, and so these are just the minutes from that meeting.
But if they do have a problem with
Agreements.
their taxes, they need to make an appointment, contact the assessor's office to discuss it before it's brought to the meeting. So if there's something they can do at our meeting, they found that somebody had a discrepancy or a error in some information on it, so they were able to change some of it. So if you do have something with your tax statement that doesn't look right, that they can go to the assessor's office, deal with it, and then it comes to us for your city portion of it.
Yep.
Yes.
Well, I can move approval of the Board of Review meeting minutes from April 1st, 2024. 19, we don't want to go backwards.
I will second that
All
motion.
right, another one. So we have a motion and a second to approve our April 1st, 2024 Board of Review meeting minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We shall move on to the consent agenda, which consists of the audit of city bills and our transfer report. And I will move approval of the items on the consent agenda.
And I will second.
All right, we have a first and a second. Are there any items on the consent agenda you would like to discuss?
I just have a question on line item 46. Did we get some reimbursement from West Central for paying for some of the funds for Guido's transportation?
Yeah, we got a grant upfront, $10,000 grant to pay for the entire strategic plan.
So that what our share, what there come out of that or from that grant?
Number 46 and actually number 41 as well, that was paying for Guido's professional services of the 50.
Okay, but that was all out of a
Yeah, no
grant,
city
so
pocket, no city
Awesome.
money out of our pocket at all.
thank you.
Yeah.
Any other further discussion on any of the items on the consent agenda?
No.
Hearing none, we have a first and a second on that. All those in favor approving the consent agenda signify by saying aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Now, we have the petitions and requests portions of our meeting. And we have in the audience, Kathleen Jost and Tracy Anderson from the Humane Society, going to talk to us about the feral cat issue. So if you please come up to the mic and just state your name and kind of your business.
Yeah, you'll get both of us. I'm Tracy Anderson, and I'm currently serving as the president of the Humane Society.
Kathleen Jost, and I'm board member.
Okay.
Yep, and we've got a little bit of a plan of attack here. So I think some of you know the Humane Society has been serving the Stevens community, Stevens County area for 20 years now. And when we started, we did not have any facility. Animals were either in foster care or at a farm outbuilding at one of our board members' farms. And when we started, we had between 25 and 30 cats come into us annually that got adopted out, placed in homes, and maybe between 10 and 15 dogs. Dog numbers fluctuate a little bit because sometimes if you get one dog, you get the whole litter or things like that. But that's kind of where we started. Last year, we adopted out 123 cats, and we run between 110 and 120, give or take, on an annual basis now. And the number of dogs has increased as well to about 25 dogs. And so those are dogs or cats that have come into our care that have been properly vetted and then sent out for adoption. What is not included in those numbers are the number of dogs that come in. We have the contract for impound. And so stray dogs in our community come to us, and that's another one of the services that we provide. And we do charge you a little bit for for that, for the first 5 nights. But, the animals that don't get claimed by owner become our animals and are some of those that we end up putting up for adoption. And we usually put between $250 to $400 into each of those pets before they're able to be adopted. So when they go out, you know, they're ready to go, vetted and all of that. The big jump in our numbers kind of coincided with when we moved into the building that we currently reside, and we rent a space in the vet facility that H&H Vet runs out on the Highway 28, just past the car wash is where we're currently located. And we're kind of the classic example is of if you build it, they will come. And we've had, just the other day, we had somebody drop off a dog in a carrier and said, we can't care for it, can you? And that's the kind of stuff that happens. Sometimes it's a box of kittens or a dog, whatever. And so the city has provided I think it was a similar arrangement that you had with Dan Sales when he had the impound contract for the city. You pay boarding for 5 nights, and after that time, the animals become ours. If they're claimed by owner, the owner will pay that boarding. But really, over the 20 years, we've had no support or no increase in the support from the city or the county, and again, providing that service. Sort of recently, the feral cat population in town has been brought to our attention by many of the citizens in town, and we're seeing similar problems in other communities in our county. So I'm going to let Kathleen talk a little bit more about that, because that's really the motivation for why we're here today.
Right. When we first started 20 years ago, we had quite a few feral cat populations, especially around like what was then Key Row Apartments, the Villa, Dairy Queen, Morris Floral. We worked really hard for probably 5 years to trap, relocate. We had some managed trap, neuter, release colonies, which they call it TNR colonies, where we trap them, they get brought in. These are wild cats, like unhandleable, unplaceable cats. We always test them to make sure that they're not transmitting diseases. We vaccinate them. We spay or neuter them. We ear notch them, and then we release them into a managed colony. Some of them aren't healthy enough to be released into a colony, or some of them, if they have diseases that they'll be spreading to other people's pets or children, then we honestly typically euthanize them because we take them out of the population. We've been doing pretty well for a while, and then it's definitely become apparent in the last probably 3 years that we've got a real problem brewing again. And there's a few residences that will do a lot of feeding of the feral cats. Some of them, hang out around like Morris Grain or the elevators. Not so much now that Morris Floral is gone, but they've kind of migrated over to the university area. People feed them, and that's okay, but then they keep breeding. And so we just did a little project here with a local citizen that we assisted. Our vet clinic also gives a pretty good discount for feral animals that get brought in, and then she paid for some out of pocket. We did, I can't remember if it was 5 females that we did one day, and out of that, they were all early pregnant, and there were 24 kittens that would have been born in East Side Park area. So that's a lot of kittens, a lot of cats that are using the substrate, P-rock, sand in the playground area for a litter box, which is very unsanitary. A lot of things can be transmitted from cat poop to humans, and especially kids are the most vulnerable, of course. And also there's a high incidence of cats going in gardens and then people getting exposed to toxoplasma that way. Pregnant women can be really a susceptible population too. So we've been getting a lot of calls wanting us to take care of the problem, which is a real difficult thing because it gets expensive very fast. I've worked with a lot of other communities that has city support. I work obviously with Benson. My main clinic is in Benson where we do the surgeries. And the city of Benson sets money aside every year for some of their feral cats to spay and neuter. City of Appleton does as well. Starbuck is actually working on one right now. They've had like 50 cats that they had in the Brothers convenience store area that are eating out of the dumpsters. And so they're doing an active reducing of the population. A lot of these cats get rehomed if it's possible. You know, we have some farms that we send them to. Feral cats are hard to rehome because you turn them loose and they are maybe stay around or they're gone. But as long as they're altered, they're vaccinated, and at least not spreading feline leukemia or FIV at that time anyway, you know, we're okay with that. So the city of Chicago we've been working with them, and they're actively working on getting a trapping project organized. Alberta has a problem going on also, and we're working with them. And so we're here to, you know, kind of discuss what, you know, we would propose. Maybe we're doing a annual fundraiser, which we've done that for 10 years now. And we always have a targeted auction portion of it. So, you know, most of the proceeds go to just general operations, vet care and stuff, but we have a targeted auction. Like sometimes it'll go to spay-neuter grant, which we self-fund because grants are not very available right now for small humane societies. And so the money that we make on that, we assist people that need help. We'll spay, you know, say if they have a dog spay, they'll pay $50 and then we cover the rest of it. So we've done that for decades. But anyway, so this year we would like to do a fundraiser where we propose it for the spaying and neutering of TNR colonies, or especially the feral cat population in the city of Morris. And what would be optimal is if we could count on any sort of matching funds. I understand your budget's most likely set this year, but if there's any sort of funding that, you know, the city would be willing to throw at this project to either match or to assist with this project, because it gets very expensive for a city problem.
Well, and just, that was, what, nearly a month ago that you had 5 females that were already
Oh
pregnant.
yeah,
So-
we're really needing to get on
So
this.
there's the possibility for hundreds of cats to be born, and we're the part of the community that is fielding that for, you know, that's one of the services we provide the community, is help handle these cats.
But it's very expensive, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's-
And sometimes we'll reach out if we have like a hoarder house or a large population of cats that we have to deal with. We've worked with Animal Humane out of Golden Valley, but that's not really something that they do, is to support the local TNR projects. So, you know, if you guys have any questions or concerns, or I know that some of the cities, Hancock, Benson, they enforce licensing, dog licensing to raise funds for some of these projects, which Morris has never done. There is a dog license available and you can buy one, or you used to be able to buy one anyway, but it was never enforced, and people were like, why do we need it? And I can't honestly give them an answer, because it had never been enforced in dogs that were brought in an impound. So that's one way that some cities have been making money, and then some cities have also increased their impound fees. So even though we hate it, we have to collect the fees, and it gets to be really uncomfortable for some of our volunteers when somebody comes to pick up a dog, and some people are disgruntled, some people
It's
are,
a nice word for it.
yeah, right, unstable. And so
We've
I
had
hate to have to,
situations where people have been just outright aggressive.
and we've had to call law enforcement.
Yeah. They used to do that, and they
They'll
no
break in,
longer,
yeah.
they no longer collect those impound fees. They've made us do it.
Right.
So,
So, you know, we have discussed increasing the fees for that, just because it's
it hasn't gone up in
never,
20
no.
years.
And
There's,
typically it's $15 a day is what it has been.
Couple of thoughts. How much are you thinking? You said match funds. Generally, what do you bring in on your fundraiser? Just so we have a ballpark idea
Well,
what
for
you're
that
looking
portion of
for.
the auction, usually it's about,
Between $1,000 and $1,500 for the targeted fundraiser that we do at the end. This fundraiser that's coming up on May 4th generates probably close to 80% of our operating budget for any given year, and last year we grossed around 20,000. So it's a very successful fundraiser. I mean, we really appreciate the support of the community that we get there, but it's not enough. Our expenses, or our income was about $25,000, give or take. on a year, but our expenses
Right.
exceed that, and so we have had to be tapping into some reserves that we were, that we had been able to set aside at one point, and that's not gonna last forever at this rate. And so we've done some things like increasing the dog adoption fee. You can only increase a cat adoption fee so much, and people aren't gonna go for it. So we don't make money on the adoptions. We recoup a portion of our costs.
We make about 75% of what it costs to adopt a mount.
Well, that helps give us kind of a ballpark idea of what you're looking for. I'd just like to speak to the licensing of the dogs and so forth. As you know, we now have county law enforcement service. So that would be really up to Jason Dingman and his department if they wanted to police that. And then really it's a city ordinance, and I think we'd probably have a hard sell there.
You can
because
look
I know
into the city
Jason
of Hancock
is-
is very aggressive with it, and they will, I don't know, they must either have a volunteer or a very dedicated citizen that is passionate toward this, but they will go door to door and check for rabies vaccination licensing. And there's somebody from the city office, when we do vaccine clinics, H&H will do one on a Friday night, and then Morris Vet Center does one on Saturday. And that is basically, people from town can just come, walk in, get their rabies vaccination, go pay their city license. So that's asking a lot, obviously, but they're very organized about it. So that might be, a model to look at. It's a much smaller community, obviously, but. And Benson is pretty aggressive with it as well.
And I think we've talked about this recently. We're seeing that some of the other communities have really drastically increased their impound fees. And that's something we haven't discussed, we're not ready to discuss that unilaterally. It seems like we should be collaborating with this body and perhaps the county as well, but, we have
Benson
some,
increased theirs
yeah.
5 times to what it was, which is pretty, I think that's gonna be a tall ask, honestly. I think they've probably increased it to where the point is where we're gonna probably end up with law enforcement in the clinic when people come to pick up animals. But
Yeah, but what is $15 a day is really not,
no, theirs is 150,
yeah.
but they increased it
this
too.
is-
And
those
Grant County
dogs-
is 300.
Yeah, and those dogs are cared for by volunteers. We do have, when we got the building, we had to hire a shelter manager to help manage just day to day, to field some of our phone calls and to provide some open hours. But with the exception of a 12-hour-a-week part-time employee, all of this service is provided by volunteers in the community. And, so our immediate concern is, we're really targeting this feral cat and, a little bit of money coupled with what we can, if there was $1,000 that we could put toward that, and we had $1,000, and then we can do some of that in the surrounding communities, we're gonna make a difference. Maybe not overnight or not in 2 weeks, because you still have to trap these animals and
Right,
do all
and we
the
can't
testing,
do it on
but-
private property without the landowner's permission,
But
so.
all the animals that I mentioned in the statistics that I presented earlier are not the feral cats. These are the adoptable animals, and so our budget really just cannot bear the cost of so many feral cats. And
I would guess we're probably looking at 20 to 30 that will optimally be able to trap. Some of them they're smart. You just can't trap some of them. But most of the time, we trap them, and then if they do get released, then we ear notch them, and then whoever the trapping manager is they know if they've been done, then they let them go and hope to go fishing again for the next one.
Well, it is a community issue, no question about it.
And a public health issue.
Yeah, for sure. And did you have, I think it was probably about 9 months ago or so, we had a conversation. Did you have any luck in talking to public health at all?
We have not. I haven't sat down with them at all. Honestly, we kind of had.
we're a little short-handed on our
Yeah.
board. We're down a couple members to
Okay.
where our ideal functioning is. But
It'd be nice if we could all kind of participate in this, because it is, county and city together
For sure.
working on this, so I can't speak for the rest of the council, but it's, it's valuable service that you provide for our community, so.
Well, and we've gotten to the point that people expect us to be there. I mean, the first few years, people were like, what, there's a humane society? And now, I mean, they expect us to be there kind of 24/7, which isn't,
Yeah.
that isn't possible, but I think some communities, like if your dog's in over the weekend, that's what your dog is in over the weekend. And I think we're a little more flexible, and I'm sure if you have a pet and you knew it was an impound, you'd want to be there on that Saturday rather than wait till Monday. And we try to be as accommodating
For sure.
with that as we can. For our workload and interest too, but also it's better for the animal.
Well, I think we need to look and see if we have any funds we potentially can do for this year, but otherwise it's something, as we said, that it's just something that we need to budget, hopefully,
Well,
have it going forward, so, but see once
Yeah.
we can work out
Yeah.
and get back to you.
That's
Yeah.
all we can ask.
Yeah, but as I said, we had sort of the initial ask, again, we're kind of really, the feral cats are on our radar screen, but we'd certainly be willing to have, come back and answer any questions and maybe talk about increasing funding over a longer term. 'Cause certainly, there are models for community support for humane societies in other small rural communities. I mean, I think the rural humane societies, we face a lot of the same challenges, one of which is that we're not usually large enough to catch the eye of grant funding opportunities. We're just not gonna get that attention, maybe some piecemeal things, but, I'm actually gonna leave in a few minutes because I'm gonna go ask the Legion to support us in our fundraiser and to drum up money. So I think we're pretty effective at working in the community and finding those pockets of support. And
We do,
just-
we have started also like a veterans program, which is what we will kind of give our audit to them because they've given money to us that we keep separately so that if we have a veteran that needs assistance with an animal or wants to adopt an animal or needs an animal spayed or neutered, then we use funds
Yep.
from that
Yep.
that has supported them. So that's been a really positive thing.
Yeah, and we're committed to that moving
Yep.
forward, just like we're committed to basically funding our own low-cost spay-neuter initiative, which, we might be able to find some grant money, but we haven't had that since our first or second year in operation.
We are looking into some of the other ones. So.
Yeah, we just, the wood and stone,
Mhm.
I just saw something
So-
about that in the paper, so I think that's due May 10th. So we're not looking at the city as the only
No.
potential
Right.
option for funding. We're really trying to
Help
leave
out.
no stone unturned in that regard.
Any other questions for Tracy and Kathleen from the council?
Sounds good. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, we appreciate the
Appreciate you
time and the
coming
in.
opportunity.
Thank
We'll
you.
do what we can.
All right,
Thanks for stopping in.
off to my next stop.
Yeah, good luck. Okay. We shall move on. We have an ordinance and resolutions portion of our meeting. We have a resolution before us authorizing the updating of the city fee schedule, adding off-sale growler sales. Becky, you want to speak to that resolution, please?
Yeah, so with the brew pub ordinance, we're allowing the off-sale of growlers. So with that, looking at a fee, for those who want to sell off-sale. Looking at different fees in other cities, they ranged from $100 to $300 per year. So we're recommending that we set the fee for the off-sale growlers at $100 per year. This is in addition to the other licenses that they need, so their on-sale liquor license.
State licensure and whatever else is required.
Yep,
And this would be only available for the brewer licenses that are gonna have the in-house
Right.
brewing.
yep.
So,
This is just for those, growlers that are from the beers that they create
brew
themselves.
in-house,
Yep,
yeah, you can't
yep,
sell a growler at somebody else that has something on
Right.
tap, just to clarify.
correct, yep.
And all the other fees listed there, they're pretty standard. I mean, We didn't increase any of those at all, did
The
we?
only one we added was that off-sale growler
The growler,
sales.
okay, all the
Yep.
other ones are kind of the same, okay.
I
Let's see.
will move a resolution authorizing updating of our city fee schedule, adding off-sale growler sales in the amount of $100 per year.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, on that resolution authorizing the updating of the city fee schedule, adding off-sale growler sales. And once again, we'll have roll call vote on that resolution, please.
Councilmember Crails,
Yes.
Selby, Miller,
Yes.
Gullikson, Mayor Wallers.
Yes. Okay, next up is, our city manager's newsletter.
All right. So I submitted the outdoor recreation grant. That was due April 1st. They'll announce awards in June. That was for the bathroom and concession at Wells. Well, it's for the bathroom at Wells. The concession would have to be separate. With that, just to kind of note, so engineers' estimates about 425 last estimated for both the concession and bathrooms. So Russ is looking into costs for just us putting up a building and bathrooms, not concrete block building, but so we'll see kind of where that falls, just because this grant is a 50-50, and we had to take out about 85,000 was what the engineer estimated for the concession stand area. So that came off of that 425.
That's 425,000,
425,000.
and we'd be responsible for
For half.
50% of that, so, yeah.
And that's just for the bathroom then.
The 425 is for all of it.
All of it, okay.
You take out the 85,000 for the concession stand. So I think it's like 340 is what
Okay.
we technically asked for.
Gotcha.
I'll be at the school most of the day tomorrow, talking with the civic students. That was supposed to be a couple weeks ago, but we got snow, so that had to be postponed. And then just a note, our next council meeting will be at the high school at 10:30. And then I didn't put it on here, but we do have a work session on April 30th. So just to kind of note our April meetings there. The league every year has a loss control workshop, so 4 of us staff attended that. 2 Public Works and then Maggie and I. So the Public Works, they had a lot of topic discussions around ADA compliance with streets and parks and sidewalks and all of that. We'll be meeting here later on this week to kind of go over what they all gathered and what we need to remember as we go through some projects. Maggie and I talked about employee wellness and how it relates to our work comp insurance premiums. They talked a lot about how cities should be looking into wellness programs for their employees, because healthier employees result in fewer work comp cases, which essentially reduces the cost for insurance. So we'll kind of see as we go through our health insurance and different things, see what we can put together for that. We heard about different AI tools and trends. There was discussion, we had a little bit of discussion on ADA compliance, so the second time in the last couple months that we've heard a lot about the ADA compliant websites. They did state that there are potential regulations going into effect where we will have to comply with ADA standards in the next 3 years. I haven't gone in to see, but I know just looking at different websites that are compliant, we don't have some of the tools on the top, so I'm gonna guess ours is not in compliant. So we'll definitely be having to look at what we need in order to accommodate with our website. So those might be changes coming up. There was a topic on granting and denying city licenses. Not a whole lot out of this one, although it was one of those, made me think, do we have short-term rental ordinances? Because I know we have a couple short-term rentals, so, and then we've talked before about updating our rental ordinances as we look at costs, later on this year, so, and then the last part was listening to an OSHA rep that discussed workplace safety. So, she talked about how things can, escalate quickly. So kind of gave tips on how to diffuse situations. There was a lot of talk on positioning your offices so you don't have somebody right at the doorway and you can sneak out if need be. She spoke on safety plans. She said just like you would with fire, practicing for a fire drill or anything like that, to practice with your staff in case something were to happen. So she did reiterate the importance of public work staff being in pairs when they're out in the public and dealing with people. You know, a lot of times you get, why are there two people out together when it could be a one-man job? Well, a lot of it is safety related. So yeah, very, very nice workshop there. We have been working on our on our compensation study. So right now we're in the process of looking at our job descriptions, making sure they're up to date. So we are working off these JAQs to kind of go through all the job qualifications that all the employees feel that they are doing and what they need for their jobs in order to make sure our job descriptions match what we do and what we need for them. With that study, the League of Minnesota Cities, they did one last year, but they didn't the year before for wage studies, so we'll be putting in our information into there just so other people have our data, and then we can see without paying for other people's data. So last week, Mayor Wallers and Councilmember Krales and I met with Michelle Fishbach and a few of her staffers, talked about the border, spending in Washington, elections, and then the 7th Street project and the infrastructure costs with that. So I'll be sending out information with them on the cost. They wanted to see if there was any way federally they could get any funding for it. I know the project's already started, but last time Jeff was here talking about it, he said, you know, we could futurely put stuff in the
Right away.
yes. So we'll see if they can find us funds.
Take anything we can get, right?
Right? Might as well ask for it, I guess, if they're willing to look. About halfway done with the legislative session. So a few things, they're still having discussions on the EMS bill and the housing bill that we're watching. There was no discussions on having cities, so this is a new bill that the last omnibus bill, they gave us public safety money. So we've used some of our monies for different things like the sirens and the street lights. But they are now having discussions on wanting to have cities report on how they're spending these dollars. So it's a new bill. The first one didn't require any reporting. I think there was a lot of discussion up there about certain police forces using it for equipment that some members didn't like to be used. So now we're looking at having to report. So we'll see kind of how that shakes out. We're using it how it's intended. So it's just probably one more step that we'll have to do. Current projects that we're working on, the bus garage has been started, the water line has been put in. Russ is working on getting dollar amounts for roads that we're looking to do some mill and overlays on this year. Sidewalks to the parks that were supposed to be done last year will be getting done end of this week, next week?
Yeah, if the weather continues to hold, they thought they'd be here within a week and a half.
Yeah, so that's exciting. And then I haven't gotten a date, but they should be starting that frontage road soon. That was supposed to be done last year. And then we'll be starting to meet to discuss, next year's wastewater infrastructure projects. So we can move forward with that. And then at the next meeting, there'll be students from the U that went over to Saarbeck, Germany, that will be sharing their thoughts on all the sustainability items.
And they'll be up at the high school then?
They will.
Okay.
Yep.
Good. Any questions on the city manager's newsletter? Do we have any topics that we're toying around with for our April 30th work session?
I will be bringing, different projects. So
Oh.
all those list of projects that we had last time, I'll kind of be having hopefully like an estimate for each of them, and then kind of like where I see we need to start and work, and then kind of we can have some
Okay.
discussion. So I think that'll take quite a bit of our time, but if you want to add more things, we sure can.
No, just figured, you had a plan, I just
Yeah,
wanted to know what the
yeah.
plan was, all right, good deal. Anything else, from the city manager's newsletter you'd like to discuss? Hearing none, we'll move on to the, board updates. I guess I could start. Just a reminder to everybody out there, on the Chamber of Commerce is actually having their first annual chili cook-off. It's this Saturday. It's gonna be out at the Hudson Inn. Runs from 4 to 7. It's open to the public. Anybody that thinks they have a award-winning chili recipe out there, it'd be your opportunity to pay your $10, go out there, and yeah, it sounds like a fun night. It's out at the Hudson Inn. So just wanted to give a shout out to anybody out there. Right now they originally had 9 entrants and 2 of them backed out, so they're down to 7. So they still have room for somebody that's an aspiring chili expert, I guess. I think that's all I had for my boards. Anybody else have anything?
We just have a list on our last park board meeting we've discussed, I think, most of these items, just on the things that have been done, but, Mark Torgerson normally takes minutes, and he hadn't posted them to us, but I just got a copy and had Becca print off a copy for everyone, just so, see what each of the ones are doing, and they're separate. Looking possibly at doing an electronic board at the entrance into the park, just highlighting all the things that you can do with the walk paths, pickleball courts, the fees, just trying to keep people informed, or probably make it a little better, just something that they're looking into also, so.
Yeah, and I seen on there Gary and Marie Anson, big thank you goes out to them for putting up the signs and all the new park benches. That's kind of a big help there. So thanks, Gary and Marie, if you're listening. All right, anything else?
My boards are next week.
We'll go down to the informational items. I just want to give a shout out, reminder to the general public out there. It's once again that time of the year to switch your sump pumps over. Generally, April 1st is what we shoot for. That always is kind of weather dependent, and I think we're past all the cold weather, so I think we could probably safely,
You knock on wood.
yeah,
Yes,
safely
sir.
switch them over.
Jinx us.
So I just wanted to kind of give a reminder to everybody about that. All right, is there anything else that you'd like to bring before the council tonight?
Good.
Hearing none,